MrBased NYC is an ex-white-collar pimp with a history of murder allegations, money laundering, and allegedly selling at Trump Tower. You may know him today for his outrageous kick clips that involve MrBased harassing women on stream.
You just force kissed me.
Oh Jesus, I'm the wrong guy to say that to.
No,
They accused me of it the other day.
Yes!
They accused me of putting my thumb up someone.
Okay, well, get away from me, dude. Oh my god, he's a weirdo.
Or for being a side character in the World of TShirts universe. But I think it's safe to say most people don't know who this man is, considering he only has a few thousand followers on social media. Today we go down the dark rabbit hole of MrBased NYC. I hope you enjoy. Jason Itzler is the real name of the man we know as MrBased NYC. He was born February 23rd, 1967 and is 57 years old as of today. Ever since he was a kid, Jason had a fairly privileged upbringing. Reportedly, Jason's grandfather from his mother's side, Nathan LaBelle, was a very important figure in Jason's life. He was also a founding partner when the Riviera Casino and Hotel in Las Vegas was built. So I don't think it's a stretch at all to say the close relationship that Jason had with his grandfather could have definitely played a role in his entrepreneurial dreams. Originally, Jason's mother, Ronnie LaBelle, was married to Jason's father, Leonard Silk, so Jason's name at birth was Jason Silk. Ever since the day he was born, he's been involved in the upper class. His biological father, Leonard Silk, was the son of the man who founded Sunray Drugstore in Philadelphia. At its peak in 1929, the store had over 150 locations across the country, so it's safe to say the Silk family had money as well. After just 2 short years of marriage, his mother and father got divorced, so Jason and his mother moved to New York. This is where she met a man named Ron Itzler. Eventually, the two were married, which is when Jason changed his last name from Silk to Itzler. Jason's new stepdad, Ron, was a lawyer for a firm known as Fishbein, Badillo, Wagner, and Itzler. The firm was fairly prominent in New York during the 70s and 80s, and Ron was making some serious cash working there. It's uncertain how much exactly Ron was bringing home every year, but I think the fact that they had an office on 3rd Ave and were well known for being involved in the New York political lobbying scene is pretty telling that they were making good money. On top of that, Ron being able to send Jason to multiple prestigious private schools, which would cost up to $72,000 in today's dollar of annual tuition, is also a huge clue that Ron was making bank. Before Jason even reached high school, he would attend 3 different private schools: the Elizabeth Morrow School, the Dwight Englewood School, and the Hotchkiss School. But by the time high school rolled around, Jason decided to leave the private school life behind and attended a public school in New Jersey, known as Tenafly High School. By 1985, Jason had graduated from Tenafly and was enrolled at George Washington University, majoring in political science and art history. His college life was pretty uneventful. It was basically the average American college experience. After graduating from GWU, Jason enrolled in the Shepherd Broad College of Law to appease his parents' demands. Jason himself, on the other hand, had no interest in becoming a lawyer. This dislike of the future his parents had planned out for him only became more intense once he started making money for himself, which actually first started while he was enrolled in law school. The first few businesses that Jason started were pretty small. The first one peaked around $5,000 per month and operated as a revenge hotline. The second business performed much better, but once again it would end poorly for Jason. This company was called Boss Entertainment and was a phone sex business. At its peak, they were pulling in $600,000 a month in gross revenue, but shortly after they started making this amount of money, Jason's partner found a way to keep it all for himself and hung Jason out to dry completely. Although the ending was discouraging, it also reinforced the idea that Jason could actually make money for himself. Jason's first real taste of success came when he got a loan from his father's old bankruptcy client for $100,000 and used that money to start a new phone sex company called M2 Communications Inc. This time he didn't have a partner and he was calling the shots. Within 3 years, M2 was grossing around $1.4 million every month, and Jason claims he would take home around 20% of that, which was giving him between $2 million to $3 million every year. To my surprise, it's been reported that Jason didn't act the way you would have expected him to after getting his own money. Apparently, he spent the money very poorly despite growing up with money all his life. The first thing Jason did was buy a 6-carat ring for his college girlfriend, and then they flew to Vegas and were married. As you could have probably guessed, this relationship didn't turn out well for anyone. Jason allegedly got her a boob job and a nose job as soon as they were officially husband and wife. Just 9 months after getting married, the two were divorced. In response to his rushed marriage being absolutely obliterated, Jason started dating straight strippers, driving sports cars, practically living at the casino, and buying beachside condos in Miami. This claim was actually somewhat solidified too by an unnamed ex-employee of M2 Communications. As you can see from this statement, they claim Jason was spending anywhere from $80,000 to $100,000 every month. Going into a Disney gift shop and spending $13,000 on replica dwarves? Done. Spending at least $1,000 every night at the strip club? Done. Having a smoke machine and waterfall in your beachside condo? Done. He was truly living the dream life of every Miami coke dealer during the 80s. Before Jason knew it, the rockstar life he was living completely caved in. The early investor his stepfather Ron had brought on found out that Jason had been lying when he told the man that M2 had not turned a profit yet. So the investor sued Jason, Ron, and Ron's law firm. This lawsuit ultimately resulted in a $4.5 million judgment against Jason and M2 Communications, which forced them to declare bankruptcy in 1997, as well as the loss of Ron's partner position at his law firm. Once the firm found out that Ron had solicited a client for an investment opportunity, especially one that involved phone sex, they forced him to resign. After an incident like this, most people would take a step back and say, wow, I just got sued, lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, got my stepdad fired, and put a huge hole in my reputation. Maybe I should change the way I'm going about things. But for MrBased NYC, this was only the beginning. The bankruptcy and dissolution of his company sent Jason into a depression-filled downward spiral where he basically vanished for a few months. Once he was tired of pouting, he made his way back to New York, and little did he know that decision would change his life forever. Upon arriving in the Big Apple, Jason applied some pressure to his stepfather for help finding investors to be a part of his new webcam business, which would later be known as Soho Models or Bomb Multimedia, depending on who you ask. The idea behind this business was simple. Jason would allegedly bait beautiful women in by telling them they are a high-end modeling agency, and that claim would be backed up by his high-profile connections. Then, once they feel comfortable, you upsell them into the real business, playing with your on camera and shoving huge fat up your please perverts online. From the very beginning, the Soho Models company was absolutely doomed. There were rumors of $200 weekly paychecks, sexual harassment, and overall a very sweatshop style work environment. I don't want to spend too much time talking about Soho Models just because it wasn't really that interesting, but I do want to touch on one specific accusation. Allegedly, during an interview for his new agency, Jason and the woman being interviewed slept together, but Jason denies this adamantly. Instead, he says they did get intimate, but it didn't go that far. Jason himself claims that he drank milk directly from her boob because she had a kid recently, and well, Jason always wanted to know what it tasted like. In the end, Jason was once again kicked out of his own business, but he was offered a $50,000 buyout despite the fact that the business was losing tons of money. The next big thing for Jason was called New York Confidential, which is what he is most well known for online. But before this happened, Jason actually found himself rotting in a prison cell and receiving daily beatings from gang members in his pod. After leaving New York and Soho Models behind, Jason went to Amsterdam for a while to pout over once again being kicked out of a business he started, and would reportedly spend his free time getting high and tearing through the local red light district. After doing this every day for a while, Jason decided to go back to New York and start up a new online porn company and compete against his ex-business partners for the top spot. By this time though, Jason had already blown through a majority of all the money he had left. Allegedly, he only had $3,000 left, and he decided to buy around 4,000 ecstasy tablets with it. Over the next few days, Jason reportedly went through over 100 ecstasy tablets, and then finally was ready to head for New York. Instead of shoving the remaining 3,869 pills down his gullet, Jason decided he would smuggle them back to the city and sell them, since they had a street value of around $115,000, and Jason was basically all out of money. This decision may have been Jason's worst one yet, especially with the way he went about it. The dude literally put the pills in a plastic bag and then taped them to his chest. Surprisingly, he actually made it onto the plane, but once he landed in Newark is where it all went wrong. From what I can see online, it seems Jason was acting very nervous in the airport when all of a sudden he became subject to a routine search, and they found his stash of ecstasy, which led to his arrest and imprisonment. Jason was sentenced to 5 years in prison, but only would serve 1 year and 5 months of that sentence, which isn't bad at all considering he quite literally smuggled drugs internationally. But apparently Apparently the sentence wasn't all peaches and cream for Jason, who claims that he was celled up with Bloods and Crips for the entire duration of his 17 months in prison. He also claims that he was beaten up around 5 times by both gangs. He recalls one instance where a Crip punched him in the kidneys and it resulted in Jason peeing blood for days after the incident. After getting out of prison in 2003, Jason continued down the same path he left over a year ago, despite the fact that it got him removed from several companies, lost him hundreds of thousands of dollars, and landed him in prison. But to be fair, it did also allow for Jason to build his most notable company yet, and allowed him to meet his future wife. This new company would be called New York Confidential, and originally was based out of Jason's apartment in New Jersey, but the company quickly became profitable and they moved to a 5,000 square foot loft in Manhattan. The New York Confidential was a bit different than his previous companies. This one had a more physical side to it. Instead of peddling porn online, Jason started a ritzy escort service that catered to the elite of the United States, including famous athletes and senators. At its peak, the business was doing around $55,000 per night, and the highest paid escorts were making around $2,000 per hour. Like a rookie in the business world, Jason decided to start using his own product for pleasure, and he married a woman named Natalie McLennan, who was also his top earning model. This wouldn't last long though. An article from 2016 says Jason had been engaged around 9 times, so it could even be more by now. After all was said and done, Jason was arrested in 2005, and New York Confidential was officially out of business shortly after. He pleaded guilty in 2006 to money laundering and promoting prostitution charges, and was sentenced to 18 months in prison. His ex-wife, Natalie, was also arrested in 2005. She wasn't sentenced until around 2007, and she received 1.5 to 3 years in prison for prostitution and money laundering. Finally, after all the trial and error, prison stints, and money burned, Jason was starting to step away from the pimp life, but he had a slight misstep in May of 2012 and would end up behind bars once again. He was sentenced on drugs, promoting prostitution, and money laundering charges for an incident that took place about a year before. Apparently, Jason had sold a man staying at Trump Tower a once-in-a-lifetime experience, filled with coke and hookers. Jason was sentenced to 4 years for these crimes. The last thing I want to touch on in Jason's life before streaming happened shortly before Jason was sent to prison in 2012, and was much more serious than any other accusation he had dealt with. A girl named Julia Sumnick was a friend and business associate of a man named Zoltan Prepspent, who was also Jason Itzler's roommate at the time. Basically, Julia came to Miami to party with Zoltan. After they were out in Miami for a few hours, Julia and Zoltan went back to the apartment, and this is where it all went wrong. Julia stayed at Jason's apartment with Zoltan for a little while, and then left for a different photographer's house, where she was found dead the following morning due to a roofie overdose. According to the case investigators, based on factors they found, it's most probable that Julia had ingested the drugs while at Jason and Zoltan's apartment. And further merit could be added to this claim based on the fact that Jason said the very next night he took a ton of the drug himself, enough to make him puke. So it's now clear that they had the drugs at their apartment, and Jason was an avid user of said drugs, which makes me curious about his involvement in the whole ordeal. Despite my speculative theories about the overdose of Julia Sumnick, no wrongdoing was found here from Jason or his roommate Zoltan, and they were completely cleared of the allegations. MrBased first appeared on TikTok back in 2019, and the video is literally just him staring at the sun.
What's your name? Where are you from?
My name is MrBased, and I live on St. Mark's Place and 2nd Avenue in New York City. Most people think it's the best part of New York City.
Are you happy, MrBased?
I'm super happy, thank you for asking.
Why?
Well, I stare at the sun for up to 5 hours a day with my eyes wide open. It's called super sun gazing. And besides releasing truckloads of vitamin D, vitamin A, melatonin, and melanin.
How about I give you another easy one and then we put everything together and we do a whole sword trick, okay? I'm gonna do one more thing. It's gonna be, it's called the triple tap, guys. The thing, you see what exactly what the name of it is, triple tap.
Which, as you'll see, is a very common activity for MrBased. He's also fairly well known for his IRL streams that take place on Kick and YouTube, where he goes around New York City interacting with random people and other content creators. MrBased isn't really known for his wholesome interactions. He's more widely recognized for his awkward and creepy interactions.
Absolutely, there's a lot of geopolitical significance because after Putin invaded Ukraine, there was no proper response from the world.
Chat want to know if you had an innie or an outie.
It's both.
How could it be both? Let me see.
Because my dad did a bad job cutting my umbilical
Show me
cord.
what both is.
stay in your piece.
Don't do
It's an
that.
innie. It's, oh, why? That turns you on?
I'll freak out. I'll freak out.
Just touch a little bit. Some girls have like a 2-finger gap between their
I'm
legs.
too fat for you. I'm way too morbidly obese for you.
Which is what we're going to focus on now. The first series of events involving MrBased that I want to talk about happened over the course of about 2 years, and is still happening to this day. What I'm referring to is the fact that MrBased seemed to be taking advantage of the autistic TikToker WorldOfTShirts.
You stupid alcoholic, give me my money back. Josh, your cameos are horrible. You stupid alcoholic, give me my money back. Josh, your cameos are horrible. You stupid alcoholic, give me my money back.
Unemployed rat! You don't treat middle-class people like that! I live paycheck to fucking paycheck! I've only been to 7 countries! And this is the way you treat me! I'm coming and I'm gonna tell you where your dream.
These two characters being around each other is so unlikely when you think about it, and honestly it makes the whole thing even funnier. I mean, really think about this. Jason is an ex-millionaire and member of the elite class of New York City, and now he's running around New York looking like an ex-junkie hippie while clout chasing a 21-year-old autistic kid. What a turn Jason's life has taken. But back to what I was saying. The first time MrBased was able to gain some traction on social media occurred when he started to stream snipe WorldOfTShirts during his coveted NYC tours. This was when MrBased and WorldOfTShirts first became aware of each other.
Hey, my name is MrBased. I'm the world's greatest streamer. Why is this group walking past me?
Let's go!
Who are you guys?
Scram, bitch!
Who are you guys?
Scram!
Who are you?
Scram, bitch!
Who are you?
I'll sue your ass! Scram!
No, no. Who are you? Who are you? I just want to know who you guys are. I'm the #1 streamer in New York City.
Scram,
I'm
bitch.
MrBased on YouTube.
Go away!
You scram! You scram! How did you get so loud? And who are you, sir?
Run,
Who are
run,
you?
run,
Everyone run! MrBased! MrBased on YouTube! MrBased! Who are you? Who are you?
Fucking unemployed brat!
Yes, yes, yes! Who are you? You scream like a bitch!
And it happened because MrBased saw Josh or WorldOfTShirts and the large crowd that was following him around with their phones out, which made the business brain of Jason light up, and he began harassing Josh on his tours regularly in an attempt to grow his stream. Overall, he did this around 5 times before trying to become friends with Josh, and despite their rocky start, the two seem to get along pretty well nowadays. But just because MrBased doesn't openly harass Josh on his tours anymore doesn't mean their relationship is for anything other than clout. The reason I say this is because from what I've seen of Jason and Josh's streaming together, it really looks like Jason is using Josh for donations, clips, and views. Just yesterday, Jason was streaming with Josh in his rundown apartment and using Josh to bait in hateful donations. Not only does Jason being friends with Josh not make sense on a personal level, but again, the whole relationship started out of MrBased harassing the kid for views. The only reason I can see that Josh would continue being around Jason is because he's autistic and doesn't even realize that he's clearly being taken advantage of. Outside of MrBased and his relationship with WorldOfTShirts, there is little to no entertainment value, but he still has no trouble finding controversy, most of which involves women he comes in contact with. Basically every stream of Jason's involves him being creepy with random girls on the street, but in some cases he even goes after the people he's streaming with. A few weeks ago, MrBased was streaming with Slightly Homeless and Carldo, who also brought his girlfriend Kimberly along. In this clip, you can see Homeless feed Kimberly some food by hand in an oddly sexual manner.
What's going on?
You're hungry.
Are you sure? Are you sure? I think you should have a bite.
Man, I've been sleeping all fucking day.
Yeah, open your mouth wide.
I'm not drunk.
Open your mouth wider.
It was really good, like...
Yeah, they're good with the white sauce too. Yeah, the white
really
sauce.
good thing.
How was that?
And right after that, he encourages MrBased to do the same. But MrBased took it a few steps further than Homeless did.
It was Peter one to piss him off.
Give him one?
No, Kimberly one to piss her off.
Oh.
Just to piss Carl off. It gets so deep in their mouth that it immediately comes.
As you can see, he starts rubbing her head after shoving food into her throat. Then he just straight up grabs her by the... Then he proceeds to back her into a corner and try to kiss her.
Again? Oh my god.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Roper.
Oh my god.
Roper.
Oh my god.
repeatedly. A few minutes after this first sexual assault, MrBased proceeded to do it once again. Seeing this really made my skin crawl. The dude is such a creep. He's sitting with this girl and just grabs her by the head, starts trying to forcibly make out with her, and then when she covers her mouth with her hand, he licks her hand. What the actual For the next few minutes, MrBased continuously tried to touch Kimberly, and at one point when she and Carl left, MrBased ran after them, forced Kimberly back inside, and locked the door so her boyfriend couldn't get in the room. Really
Open up the door.
Oh God, he's gonna feel so fucked up.
You can't do that shit.
He stole his woman. Is he gonna get mad? Don't miss it. Don't miss it. Unlock the door. We gotta see it.
Unsurprisingly, MrBased received a ban on Kick shortly after this incident took place, but he will actually be unbanned again on August 1st. I highly doubt that will last long though. If he's able to keep his hands to himself for more than a week, I would be seriously impressed. On July 2nd, Jason was out streaming in New York like he normally does, when he came upon what appears to be Wendy from the Wendy's fast food chain. The two got to talking and she ended up asking MrBased to guess what her tattoo meant.
Fearlessness.
You're the first person ever that ever got it.
Then when he got it right, he said, "I get a kiss for that?" and pointed to his cheek. But when she went to kiss him on the cheek, he turned his head at the last second and forced a kiss on the lips. Wendy wasn't very happy about that, and while MrBased was ending his stream, you can actually hear what I believe is Wendy and a friend chasing MrBased down and hitting him. This wasn't nearly as bad as the previous instance of sexual harassment that MrBased was involved in.
Oh my god, he's a fucking weirdo. Go away.
How do I apologize to you?
Don't apologize, just go away from me.
This is my best friend.
So just go away for now.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Have a
yeah.
good night. You want to trade Instagram?
No, I'll fucking punch you in your face and talk to me.
Okay, have a good night.
What's wrong with you?
Holy shit. Holy shit.
You're a fucking pervert. No weirdo. How you live stream like this?
I'm
How
ending.
you live stream like this?
I'm ending my stream.
No, you ended your stream.
Why would you do that to
That's
me?
why.
But it was still very wrong, and resulted in him receiving another Kick ban, which is why as of the day I recorded this, he's been streaming on YouTube instead of Kick. Since this incident, Jason has been far less touchy-feely with random women he meets. He's still been speaking to them in a very creepy manner, but I think the bans have scared him a bit. What hasn't changed is the way he treats Josh from WorldOfTShirts. In a stream that just happened today on July 20th, MrBased and Josh were hanging out at Based's apartment drinking, which they've been doing fairly regularly for the last week or two, but this time it ended much differently. I went back through the VODs, and from what I saw, Josh only drank one twisted tea and one or two beatboxes, which really isn't that much in comparison to how much he usually drinks. Regardless of that, Josh seemed blackout drunk by the end of their stream together, and actually was taken away in an ambulance to a nearby hospital. I'm not really sure why he seemed to get so up from drinking such a small amount, but Josh is on medication, so this could possibly be a side effect of mixing that medication with alcohol. Most people would turn off their stream and help their friend if they were in this state, but not MrBased. Instead of doing that, he set up the camera in front of a passed out Josh and let the TTS donos roll in. It was really dark to watch live. This went on for over 2 hours, and MrBased had no intention of stopping the show, but a viewer in chat had different plans. Out of nowhere, you hear a loud banging at the door and MrBased off in the background yelling back. After about 30 seconds, you can hear a bunch of footsteps and the camera goes flying.
Hey!
As you just heard, the people that entered the apartment were medical services and potentially police, and within minutes of seeing Josh, took him to the hospital. What's really interesting about that clip of the police entering is how MrBased tactically pushed the camera out of view so that the audio could continue to roll during the whole ordeal. He knew that it could potentially go viral and boost his audience. I know that sounds like schizo talk, but after they took Josh away, MrBased came back and knew exactly where the camera was. No hesitation. So from that, I think it's fair to say he knew what he was doing when he initially threw it out of sight. Out of all the MrBased and World of T-Shirts clips, this may be the worst one. This time, not only did he exploit an autistic alcoholic for views and donations, but he put his actual life at risk by doing nothing to get him help. This could have easily ended up as another Julius Sumnick situation. For the majority of this video, I focus on the past of MrBased, but now I want to talk about the future of MrBased. I genuinely don't think this guy has long on the internet. He's proven time and time again that he's a creep, and usually creeps slip up and get banned. Whether it's harassing women on stream, or drinking milk from a lactating mother that he was trying to employ at his webcam business, he'll do absolutely anything. The only real content he offers, in my opinion, is when he has World of T-Shirts on stream. Anytime he's by himself, I can barely watch, because every interaction he has with the real people on the street is so cringe. There is a sector of people on the internet that would definitely enjoy his streams though, as hard as it is for me to say. Some people are able to sit through the cringe and find entertainment, and because of that, if he's able to steer clear of bans, then I think he actually could maintain a few thousand average viewers without featuring World of T-Shirts on his stream. I have absolutely no doubt that we will see more viral clips of MrBased getting creepy with women, and as I said a moment ago, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he gets banned again for it. The relationship that MrBased has with World of T-Shirts is going to go one of two ways. Either Josh will realize that MrBased is clearly taking advantage of him and cut him off, or MrBased will become a better friend to Josh purely in an attempt to maintain the viewers that he gets from Josh, and they will ride off into the sunset together. I've seen it a lot. Jason is heavily influenced by what the chat says, and acts accordingly. To me, he seems like a manipulative guy that knows the right things to say and do when it benefits him, which is basically exactly how he was able to find clients for his escort businesses, so it's not a crazy thought to have. Ultimately, I think the guy is similar to Andy Ditch. Sometimes, on rare occasions, he provides funny clips, but for the most part, it is uncomfortable to watch and the dude seems like a manipulator. I could be wrong though. Maybe Josh and Jason have a real friendship, Jason's a great guy, and Jason admitting to baiting women into prostitution in his past means nothing. I personally think it's very unlikely, but you truly never know with these types of guys. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I love you. Have a good one. Peace.